All right, Mo, if you want to be divorced, here's a guy that really was going above and beyond to get divorced.
Yeah, this is a wild story that the courts in Texas say that they have never had to deal with before. There's a guy named Paul Nixon, and he was 51 years old at the time, back in February, when he actually took legal papers to a judge, filed the papers, and then 2 months later, he actually forged his wife's, at the time's, name and the notary's name on the paperwork and submitted it to the judge and actually had an official divorce, of which his wife had no idea about.
So how did he end up getting busted?
So eventually the wife found out when she started to get some mail saying that you're divorced. And she was like, okay, what?
Do what?
And then she did some research, and it turns out, I guess, some of the money that had came back to him from the divorce, this man was out buying jewelry, buying clothes. And so she started to put some things together and went to the courts and said, something's not right here because I never signed this. I don't know how this is happening.
But forging names on government documents, like, that's going to land you in prison.
And that's exactly what ended up happening.
I'm like, that is against the law big time.
So, yeah, he was wanted for aggravated forgery after they finally figured out that he had fraudulently filed the divorce paperwork. And then he went on the run for a few months because they couldn't find him. But eventually, with her help, they were able to locate him and find him. And then they charged him for up to 10 years in prison for the fact that he filed this paperwork.
That's stupid. Emotions just run high.
That man wanted to be divorced bad. And
yes,
right now.
Yes. All right, so since we're talking about divorce, it's almost impossible to keep your emotions in check during a divorce. As the guy on the show that's been through one, I know this. So I'm helping a friend through his divorce right now, and recently he found out that his wife had been cheating for a very long time with her boss, right? So this has been going on for months now. He has been kind of bringing me through the process, right? They've got a 5-year-old and they have a 12-year-old. So he finds out that his wife was messing around. He just had, something in his gut was telling him something wasn't right. She was spending extra time at work. Just the consistency was very inconsistent, and he just started to be a little tipped off, right? So he hacks into her email. I don't know if they shared an account or how he found out the password or whatever, but he goes into her personal email, not her work email, and sees all of these interactions between her and her boss. And this has been going on for a little bit now. And what he was telling me was that these emails between the two of them literally made him sick. Like calculating when he was going to be out of the house, physical detail of what they were doing to each other. She was kind of ripping on her husband, also the guy that I've been trying to help out, on how the boss provides so much more physically than her husband does. Just really disgusting, heart-wrenching stuff, right? So the dude that I'm trying to help in this whole situation has been calling me, and I've been trying to help him through the whole thing. And I get a call last week, and he says, you got to help me. I messed things up big time. And I'm like, you messed things up big time? How is that? I mean, your wife is the one that's been doing this whole thing, right? So he's really, really pissed at his wife. He is super, super hurt for obvious reasons. And they have decided he can't get over it. Relationship, marriage, over. Done.
Understandable.
Yeah. Now, this has all been really hard, but if you are a parent that has gone through this, the hardest part of it is sitting your kids down on the couch and trying to explain to them what's going on, that mom and dad aren't going to be living in the house together. They're not going to be married anymore. Trying to explain why we're not in love anymore. It's so confusing. And it's heart-wrenching. Me and my ex, we went to a therapist for months to try to figure out exactly how to tell our kids, right? So it gets time where they're going to tell the kids, and he sits down on the couch with his wife and with his kids, and she's doing most of the talking at this point, and he is just feeling rage overcome him. Like, he's just feeling, the only reason why we're here is because of you.
And your actions.
Your actions. You're the one that has been messing around with your boss. So he's sitting there quietly going over the game plan that they had together to tell the kids, right? Because you don't want to bring the kids in on something like this. And he just loses it and stops her and tells the kids, just stop. The reason why mom and dad aren't together anymore is because mom has been with another man. She has been, quote unquote, again, it's 5 and 12, dating another man, kissing another man.
Ouch.
So, yeah, right in front of the kids. So the 5-year-old is all confused, and the 12-year-old understands it, but is trying to explain it to the 5-year-old. But it's already out of the bag at this point. He was just so pissed. It was like this momentary lapse in logic, and it has literally, not only was the family ripped apart before, but now the kids know exactly what happened, and he really feels very remorseful about it because he has no idea how to reverse it, which you can't.
You can't. That's like one of those, when you say you can't put the toothpaste back in the
tube.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I hate that he did that.
you can kind of understand where
I
he's
hate
coming
that
from.
she did that, but I hate that he did that because the kids don't, they don't
They
need to know
don't deserve
all
that, right?
No.
And he went into it with a game plan, and just as it was going on, and he felt so bad sort of telling me about it that he's just like, I lost it. I just completely lost it. And he feels awful about it now, but there's nothing you can do about it at this point.
There isn't.
I don't even know what the lesson is here, really.
There isn't. I think it's just a horrible mistake on both their parts.
You got to try to keep your emotions in check in times like that, but it's hard, man.
Super hard, but you got to do it for the kids. It's the Bert Show.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched? Well, you can get way more of The Bert Show on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, or wherever you get your favorite podcast.